principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. Put on camouflage. Eyes in the sky. New covenant. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat. It's a spiritual combat.
Shalom, y'all. Shalom, shalom. It's your boy Michael Israel, and you're watching Spiritual Combat. I think I'm kind of going, starting kind of in a different, starting a new series, I guess you could say. So I guess for the next maybe week or so, I'm gonna be getting back into kind of one of my areas where I guess I'm more experienced at or whatever. I'm going to be talking about relationships. So we're going to delve into that. And the message I did yesterday was kind of along that lines. You know, it was relationships, you know. So yeah, so we're going to get back into that. And as you can see, the title of today's message is The Main Cause of Relationship Difficulties. Okay? And that's why I like to focus when I'm doing my teachings and when I'm going into all this stuff is root causes. And simply because in my growth, when I was struggling with all these issues, yeah, there were a lot of people teaching on symptoms, but nobody was really they were kind of treating the symptoms, but they weren't going into root causes. What's at the at the core of the problem, and then even more so, what's the solution? Sometimes people would actually put their finger on the actual true problem, but they wouldn't provide a solution to it. So, you know, I had a problem with that. And I said uh, if I ever get understanding in this area, I will definitely, I won't be one of those people. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get right to the nitty gritty on things. But all right. Let me get everything up and running here. All right. So yeah. So let's get in it. The main cause of relationship difficulty. All right. And let me make sure everything's good here on my end. Yeah, shalom, brother Brian. Good to see you in there. Good to see y'all in there. All right. All right. So, main cause of relationship difficulty. The best way I could describe the main cause of relationship difficulty real fast is roles. Okay. There's been a blurring of the roles. What being a man is in today's society is just kind of a distorted, reverse, like messed up idea of what it is to be a man. Same thing with what it is to be a woman and a woman's role and a woman's identity, you know. Exact same for both. These roles have been twisted, and you know, these roles have been twisted upside down, backwards, left and right, and you know, folks are destroying themselves in their relationships and undermining their success in their relationships, and they don't even know where they're messing up at. Okay, so at the core, or one of the core issues is just identity and role. People don't know their identity and their role as far as it pertains to them in relationships, who they are as a man or a woman. And the best analogy I could give is basketball. Think about a basketball team, and you got a center. You know, typically your center, that position on the basketball team, he's gonna be a big dude. He's gonna be real tall, big, you know, and a real strong dude like Shaq, you know, who can get the rebounds and perform that role. He's built for that role. The point guard, he's going to be a shorter, nimbler dude, fast on his feet, super coordinated, can dribble real good and see the whole floor, pass the ball, facilitate things, guide the team, and all that stuff like that. Okay? Well, the equivalent of what's going on in this society is like they're saying, oh, you just because you're short and you could dribble fast and you can pass real good and you can see the whole floor, that don't mean you can't be a center. You could do those moves down there. You could score. You know, you don't have to be a point guard. You know what I'm saying? And they blur the line, and then they tell the big dude down low, Shaquille O'Neal, they say, hey, just cause you're 7'1" and you're big and you're not that fast, but that don't mean you can't be a center. You know, just cause your big old hands, it makes it hard for you to shoot long range shots. You can learn how to do it. You know, this, that, and the other. And so now they got Shaq out there playing point guard, and they got Muggsy Bogues down there being the center. And they go and play other teams, and they constantly lose, and they're arguing with each other because they're losing the game, and it's frustrating because he's trying to pass. Muggsy Bogues is trying to post some dudes up. Shaq's yelling at Muggsy Bogues, and if y'all know who Muggsy Bogues is, he's one of the shortest basketball players out there. Dude was like 5 something or whatever. But anyway, and he could dunk though at one point in his career. But anyway, so they try to pass the ball. Muggsy Bogues can't get no rebounds. He can't stop the dude. You know, he can't defend against the guy he's supposed to be covering. You know, and it's just a mess. And they're losing all their games. And everybody's constantly, the coach is telling them as a team, you know, yeah, but you could play whatever position you want. You know, just because you short don't mean you got to be a point guard, you know, and they're just drilling this point in. Come to find out, the coach of the team, of your team, is actually the assistant coach for the team you're playing against. You see what I'm saying? That is literally the best analogy I could give to what I see going on with men and women today in relationships. People are being deceived into into these roles that this society gives them, and it's all by design. It's all meant to for the destruction of us as a nation. At the end of the day, is part of the crafty counsel and just the wickedness of this culture and this society. Okay? And the insidious thing about it is our brothers and sisters buy into this deception all the way into even the Hebrew community and everything. They buy into this. And this stuff is pumped out through, main thing is the media. The main thing is the media. You know, and then the even worse thing about it is most of the people don't even realize they push that agenda, that they subliminally undermine relationships, and the roles are so plainly and obviously laid out in the word that and the fact that the roles that the Bible plainly and obviously lays out, these roles that the Bible plainly and obviously lays out are completely, totally, perfectly opposite of what this society pushes. That ought to show you that Satan's behind it. But I see people all the time trying to work that into Hebrew doctrine to their own destruction. And the thing is, these roles that are laid out in the Bible can be, even when you just observe the relationship dynamics in your life, when you, like for me, I do a lot of counseling and interviewing, and I talk to a lot of people about relationship problems they've went through, stuff I've experienced in my life that I've grown out of and fixed in my life. What this stuff is, just looking at it, you see it doesn't work. Like the relationship dynamics prove the Bible to be true. Because even when you remotely begin to implement your role as a biblically masculine man or a biblically feminine woman, you see immediate results, immediate positive results in the relationship and everything like that. So yeah, it's a very simple argument for me, or not even an argument. It's very simple to prove the practicality of doing things the biblical way. A lot of people will say, "Oh, that's old school. That ain't now. That's oppressive and all this stuff." And it's because they're looking at it through a Western lens, I guess would be the best way to say it. They're looking at it from the heathen's perspective, through the heathen's lens of interpretation and understanding. And if you do that, you're only gonna get bad results every time. Shalom, Yah, all day. Good to see you there. Good to see you in there. So yeah, that's one of the main causes. And what I wrote here is, at the end of the day, the heathen's agenda is to destroy us as a nation. And in every way, you can see how they seek to undermine us. A lot of people are like, oh, the reason men are whorish today, or men are like they say men today are whoremongers and out there running around, all this stuff like that. And this is what bothers me. They say the reason our men are like that is because during slavery, the men were made to breed and have sex with all these different women. And that's wrong. That's totally wrong. See, what they don't get is the first thing men and women did when they got out of slavery was got married and started families. All the way up into the and you could prove this statistically, all the way up into the 1950s, 60s, our marriage rates were higher than any other race in this country, and our divorce rates were lower than any other race in this country. And they feared that we would overtake them. That was always a fear. I did a documentary. I think I'm gonna go get that redone. But I did a documentary showing the cycle and the stages of oppression since slavery. It went from very overt and obvious to each step in this process was more and more covert and behind the scenes and deceptive. But yeah, all the way up to the 50s and 60s, our family was intact. Our black economics were intact. We were good. And there's a verse in there that says, until you be destroyed. I think it's in Deuteronomy. And we weren't destroyed when we came out of slavery. We weren't completely destroyed. Only recently have we been completely destroyed, to where you look at hip-hop, you look at the black race and all that stuff like that, us here in America particularly, men are just wanting men and have no identity and just killing each other off, killing themselves off with violence and homosexuality and all that stuff. And we just completely are totally disconnected from who we are. And this is only in the past 20 to 30 years where we have been completely destroyed, where they broke the family completely, totally apart. And that was the final blow that really broke us down as a nation. And that started happening right after the Civil Rights Movement, after they killed King and took the black economics out of the black neighborhood, turned the black woman against the man through their programs and all that stuff like that, and flipped our roles upside down. It was a destruction of our minds. And if you think I'm lying, look at hip-hop today. And you will be in complete, total agreement with me. But like today, people who, like, I watch people, they'll break the Bible down and rightly divide it. They'll be rightly dividing it with explaining stuff, and then they get to something pertaining to women, and they wrongly divide it. They have it twisted upside down. They don't get it. You see what I'm saying? It turns into, you see a lot of men just struggling with masculine identity. They're socially awkward, and they can't figure out why. They have all these hang-ups, and what it manifests as is they end up struggling with relationships. They have problems meeting the right woman, or if they meet the right woman, they have problems maintaining that relationship because they don't know how to deal with the right woman. Same thing with the right woman. She might be the right woman, or she might be a woman who has a heart for Yah, but she might not know how to deal with that man. There's a lot of I don't know the best word to use. There's a lot of dysfunction that has been put, that is a result of crafty counsel. You see what I'm saying? When you look at our men and women, you see that it's crafty counsel that has been taken against us, to undermine us. And like I said, I instead of just talking about, I need to do a little documentary showing the crafty counsel today and in the past that has been taken to undermine our relationships, our relationship roles to women. And yeah, it's directed to society, to all the heathens out there, but mainly it's focused on us, and to tell our women that they have a role that's perfectly opposite and opposed to the Bible, and telling our men that they have a role and a position and a responsibility that's perfectly opposed to the Bible. So yeah, we have to be aware of this and see. Like for me, the main focus of my ministry is relationships, marriages, how to be a man and meet the right women and dealing with women, all that stuff like that. So, and same thing for women, how to be a good woman, how to deal with the men. So naturally, because I do a lot of counseling and I watch and see a lot of these problems, and it's always the same thing. It's always the same root cause, to the point where the counseling's easy. You know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, are you doing this? Well, you need to do that. Are you doing this? You need to do that. If you're doing this, you need to do that. Look, here go the scriptures. Boom, 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 boom. And then people are like, they've seen that scripture, they've heard that scripture read, but the way it consistently gets explained a certain way to manipulate it. So people are not rightly dividing the word. Like I said, I watch people, they'll rightly divide all types of aspects of this word, but they come to almost 90% of the time, they come to the relationship aspects of this word, and they wrongly divide it, because the brainwashing is the most extreme when it comes to relationship roles. That's where the brainwashing gets the most extreme and the most, that's where it's off the most at, consistently. I can't think of any other area in the word where I see it wrongly divided in an imbalanced way all the time, misinterpreting scriptures, I don't see it anymore as where when it comes to relationship roles. What's the woman's role? And even more so, what's the man's role? You know what I'm saying? And even wrongly divided it to the point where, okay, a lot of people, the popular one I see is that, you know, oh, anybody could lead and the man don't got to be dominant. And then the other popular one is I see them teaching is where the man got to be this dominant macho boy dictator. That's another popular one. But it's not that. You know what I'm saying? You have a model of how you need to behave and deal with relationship situations. Deal with if you married to a wife and she's a difficult woman or whatever, or you perceive her to be difficult, that a lot of people don't realize that there's perfect biblical examples of how to deal with these women when they're out of order. Or it's just getting rocky and difficult. There's perfect examples right there in the Word, because Christ, the Messiah, how he dealt with the nation of Israel, is a model of a husband, how to deal with a difficult wife. You know what I'm saying? And I teach that all the time, you know, in my other videos and stuff like that. But you know, I'm not gonna get into all that today, but in the coming, you know, because like I said, this is kind of the beginning of this series. In fact, what I will do real quick is put a, I'll do this live. What I will do is put a part 1 on here, because this is just going to be an ongoing series. You know, we're going to go, you know the way I do, we're going to go in deep and get all the meat off the bone. Because people have come at me, and I literally don't even have to say a word. I can just, they say, hey, how you going to say that? Because this, that, and the other. I'm like, go to this verse. Boom. And that verse I just gave you, this is what I'll tell them. That verse I just gave you, read the whole chapter to make sure I'm not taking it out of context to twist it. Make sure I'm rightly dividing the word. And what I can say with confidence and what I could show you and what's going to be taught in the coming parts of this series is that I can show you contextually, with context in the Bible, that I'm rightly dividing the word in context. I can show you through examples, through experience. I could give you examples that I've experienced in my life, in counseling other people through certain situations in their life, and I could show you through examples in your own life that what I'm saying is is biblical. The way to get, and this just one last statement is, the way you know something is pure truth, is coming from this word, is because you'll get immediate results. Okay, you'll get immediate results, and that's how you know that what you're bringing out, or what this word is saying, that you're applying it correctly in your life. It's because the results are immediate. It's not all this, I see people struggling with stuff for years. It's not that. That's not how things work. It says it's sharper than any two-edged sword, and it just cuts straight through. But like I said, it's kind of an introduction to the series that, you know, I'm going to kick off for the next week or so. Shalom, Brother Levi. Good to see you in there. So, yeah. But anyway, with that said, I'm going to wrap this lesson up. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Definitely share the video. I'm Michael Israel. You're watching Spiritual Combat. And shalom, y'all.